Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to walk you through how to edit your footage into slow motion. So remember that you're going to want to go into the settings of your camera and change your settings to be filming in 60 frames per second. And then you want to edit on a timeline that is 30 frames per second. Okay. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what that looks like. But as you film, I would film most of my event in 60 frames per second. And then when I come home, I'm just going to flip my camera on and make just a throwaway clip that's 30 frames per second so that I can drag that clip onto the timeline. And that will create settings for the timeline that I'm going to be editing on. All right. So shoot most of your event on 60 frames per second. Come home and just shoot one clip on 30 frames per second. All right. Follow along. On my desktop, I have a project folder. Inside, I have my export folder where I will export things to. I have my Premiere folder and I have my videos that came straight out of my camera. Here, I'm going to open up Premiere. And then I'm going to create a new project. And I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to look at the list view, go to my desktop, and here, and then save it into this folder and press create. I want to make sure, so it's asking me to update my output to my MaxPut Pro speakers. All right, and then I want to go to my editing window workspace, and I'm just going to pull this out. Once we're here, I want to import my footage. So I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to go to my desktop, my project folder, my videos, and I'm going to pull them in. And so all those videos are just located inside that folder. And I'm going to pull this out, create a new folder titled sequences. And this is where I'm going to be editing. All right. So if I look at my footage under frame rate, I can actually tell that this was shot in 30 frames per second and that these were all shot in 60 frames per second. The reason you want to shoot one clip, the reason that you want to have one clip that's in 30 frames per second is so that I can drag just that clip onto the timeline like this. And it will create a timeline that is at the frame rate 30 frames per second. Okay. If I accidentally pull one of these over, my timeline is going to be at 60 frames per second. And I don't want that. I actually want my timeline to be at 30 frames per second. So I'm going to come over here and say draft, and I'm going to pull that into my sequences folder. I have all my footage, right? So I'm going to now take the footage that I shot and I'm going to drag it onto the timeline. And, sorry. I need to make sure this is open. I'm going to delete that clip. And now I'm going to take the rest of this footage and drag it and put it onto my timeline. And it says, this clip does not match the sequence's settings. And I say, whatever, I want to keep the settings. Okay. And you're going to see, I'm going to move over here so you can see me. All right. I made Vlad. I ran for you, but I also made Vlad run. All right. So here's an example. Okay, so here, Vlad's gonna just be running. Okay, I'm gonna mute it because it doesn't really matter. Because I filmed this in 60 frames per second, I can just right click and go down to speed. And I can say, I want this to play at 50% of its original speed, which will slow it down half. So now he looks cool. He's running, right? That's great. What if I'm going to press undo. So that's how you slow it down. The issue is that you need to make sure that there's space for you to slow down your footage. Because if I right click on this and go to speed duration 50, it doesn't allow me to see the whole clip. So it cuts it off. Even though if there was space, if I hover, I could see that the clip actually goes until the end. Okay. So I'm going to right click and return this clip back to 100. So this is how fast it plays. I'm going to zoom in. Right? I like it, but I want it to run. And then maybe right here, I'm going to put a cut, and then I'm going to have him keep running. And then maybe at the end, I want it to go back to the end, right? So I place these cuts so that I can change how fast each of those clips will play. So I'm going to pull this out. This middle one, I'm going to right click and go to speed duration, hit 50. And then I'm going to click in the middle and pull it together. So now it'll look like this when we play it. Ooh. I'm going to minimize this for a second. All right. Oh, sorry. How do I get out of here? All right. Sorry. Here. All right. He runs and then it slows down and then it goes back to the speed, right? So what I did, I created these cuts so you can see kind of where these cuts happen. The beginning part, he's regular speed. I placed a cut. I slowed down the middle one to 50%, and then it goes back to regular speed. Now he's slow, fast, right? Amazing. That is how you handle slowing down your footage. All right. I hope you have fun with that, and I hope it works well for you.